Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the world of darkness. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. Content warnings can be found in the show notes. We talk at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect, we're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same. So listener discretion is advised. Now, let's walk the path of night.
Last time on Path of Night, Wynn was called as sheriff to handle the aftermath of another brutal attack by the Killing Spree. There, Johnny and Wynn conflicted over methods. Johnny met with his daughter Jessica and the rest of the hunters, supplying them with weapons and gear. Jessica told Johnny that she believed she could discover more about the shard of the eldest Denal house and how to defeat it. Johnny made his offer to help. The coterie returned to Elysium and were confronted by the finished painting depicting Miles's diablerie.
So what are we talking about?
Wynn kind of kicks the door shut with, who knows, she might be wearing just like Keds at this point because she hasn't really found anything else that she really identifies with, but she kicks the door shut, and as she does, she gives Neil and Britta a very strong look and puts her fingers in her ears.
Britta is unsure, but she covers her ears.
Neil also does earmuffs on himself.
She pulls out a can and blasts an air horn backwards at the door for about a second.
Britta still kind of yelps.
Sorry, that wasn't deodorant. And she sets it down. Like, okay, we don't have a speaker now, but
when
maybe that'll help.
Just as a heads up, if somebody was listening through, like, that may have deafened them, but also if somebody wasn't,
then they shouldn't have been listening.
Yes, but what I'm saying from like an eavesdropper perspective is, if I wasn't listening, now I am flocking to this office to listen. Because a big air horn just went off, drawing a lot of attention to this spot.
I can spray it again.
Please don't.
Yeah, I agree. Please don't do that again.
Like, there's sort of like no way to predict whether or not somebody is there or that. Like, instead, I could just counter listen or something if you wanted.
But now you also know who was eavesdropping by the bloody ears.
Miles.
No, it's more. It's.
Miles, can you you must have like a radio or something in here.
I'm sure we do, but everything I've heard, they could just ignore that anyways.
No, it depends. I mean, there's no perfect solution, but it's.
If you want to take a look around, I've done what I can to soundproof the office and normal.
Let's just not talk about sensitive shit right now.
Where else are we supposed to talk about it?
There's a speaker at the Royale.
That was a pain in the dick.
Johnny grabs one of the little metal standing ashtrays that Miles has in his office, specifically for Johnny, pulls it over towards the leather armchair and lights up a cigarette.
Anyway,
We have people that generally keep people farther away. That's what we've got going for us. This place is soundproofed.
Out of curiosity, anyone seen Fester lately?
No, I was actually going to ask about that. Not since the thing.
Britta stands and kind of starts looking through the office, looking for a radio, a record player, anything like that, just to do as she said. But she looks over and says, I mean, I don't think I've seen him since the gala and the hotel and everything.
No, it was, like I said the other night, my sire got in my head, and so I threw a Molotov cocktail at him, and then he ran into the sun.
Do you think he died, or?
I really hope not, but if no one's seen him...
Why are you bringing it up, Johnny?
Instead, someone asking me about him.
Who? Neil looks like instantly suspicious. Specifically, he doesn't look suspicious of Johnny. He looks like, who the fuck's asking about Fester? Like, that's concerning.
People were asking questions. I'm the seneschal. People ask me things.
Someone you trust to have Fester's best interest at heart, or somebody who's...
Yeah, actually.
Have we tried, calling him?
No, I could. I've been reticent to... I don't know if he... I mean, I lit him on fire. I don't know if he wants to...
Wait, you haven't called him?
I lit him on fire. I assume he doesn't want to talk to me.
Did you do it on purpose?
What's his number?
I was gonna say,
I don't know.
who will he pick
Johnny
up the
pulls
phone
out
for?
his new cell phone and waits for his number.
I give him Fester's number.
Johnny punches it in slowly and awkwardly, searching for each number on the dial pad.
Like one finger.
One finger, like, just painful to watch.
You get a notice that he's unavailable.
Well,
It doesn't go straight to voicemail or anything like that. It's as though the battery is dead.
Guess the number's currently unavailable.
I've thought about looking for him, my way, but I don't have an accurate picture of him. He didn't like having his picture taken for, obvious reasons. And it was rude to ask him what his real face looks like. So it's tough to do.
Does he normally let his cell phone run out of battery?
No, he's pretty fastidious. A gossip with a dead cell phone is not living up to his nature, I guess.
Where would you look to find him?
Ordinarily, I would look in the sky, but also tough for the Nosferatu. I could go down to his haven, I guess, but we'd have to go trekking in the sewers.
Is there a chance he's in the city?
I don't know. I assume he would come home.
Look, he was doing some work for the domain before. It might be best to reach out to him, not only for us, but maybe for yourself, since you think you lit him on fire.
Yeah, I'm really worried I killed him.
Neil, maybe I have a way of tracking people. Maybe we can go out and look for him together.
What does it require? Because my ways are tough. The Nosferatu strangely make it hard to track him my way.
I don't know him well, so it might be harder. But predators can track other predators.
I'd be willing to go and look around in the sewers and go to his haven, but I also, I'm pretty welcome down there. But also, we need to ask. I'd rather talk to the Nosferatu Primogen about sort of being allowed to go down. They don't like people in their warrens.
That was going to be my next thought is, why don't we ask the Nosferatu if they've seen him?
You could ask Renwick. Although,
if you want, I can ask Renwick, just in case Fester has been in contact.
Yeah, maybe we... I mean, you're the sheriff, so yeah.
One of the two of you see if you can find out where Fester is or if he's still around.
I'm really worried about him.
Wynn kind of takes out her pack of sticky notes and writes down, "Look for Fester."
And I guess if we find out, I'll let you know, Johnny, so you can tell your...
Appreciate that.
We should have a conversation with him in general. It might be worth him, if you can, working with him to figure out what's going on. He was good at information gathering.
Yeah, I would absolutely have gone to him for some information, but
the domain would be willing to hire him.
Well, Fester wasn't always the most popular with his clan. I mean, they left him to die, for God's sake. So, it's showing him a little bit of appreciation would go a long way, I think.
Fantastic.
So.
What else, folks?
We were talking about, we started talking about us having, Neil was talking about his specific hesitations about plans moving forward, but then started talking about a vision.
Yeah,
when he started laughing when we were together.
Yeah, I don't really remember laughing, but I do remember some of the things that I saw. It was the future. We were down in New York.
Is this a conversation we have here and now?
There's no safe place. This is one of the safest places in the city, honestly. So there's no, if we can't have it here, we can't really have it.
Okay.
That's sort of... Neil looks around again,
By this time, Britta should have been able to get music set up if there was music in here.
I'm sure there is.
What does Britta find to automatically put on, Miles?
Backstreet Boys.
Oh my god. In this office, there is probably hidden CD stuff like that, but out in the open, there's probably a record player.
You play Purple Rain.
Hell yeah.
Britta sets it, relatively quietly so that everyone can hear each other, but just as an extra precaution, and kind of slinks back to the chair that points her away from the painting.
Neil, do you want to give us a once-over to make sure we have no other visitors?
Yeah, sure. Neil looks around to the best of his ability, making sure nobody's here in astral or listening in. Or
You are all good.
he takes a minute, sort of opens up his eyes, really gets unnaturally vampirically stock still, and then sort of shakes himself out of it and looks at Miles and is like, no, nobody's, looks over at Wynn. No, nobody's here. Nobody's listening. We're good. We're as good as we can be.
Sounds good.
If
Thank
we're
you for
not safe
checking.
now, then no one's ever safe.
So your vision there.
Yeah, we were in New York. We were down fighting, back to back with Roman Pendragon and I think Jan Peterson. I can't actually remember exactly, but
Alongside them?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. Well, we were fighting down there against the Sabbat. We were fighting the Sabbat. I think we were fighting against. I think maybe Delgado was. I can't honestly remember who specifically.
So Sabat.
But we were fighting the Sabbat alongside, and Pendragon's army was down there, and it was like all of us coming together. I saw Johnny there, and I saw all of us. I'm not really sure where my perspective was. It wasn't my perspective, but I was seeing it, watching it happen, and then the streets erupted underneath everyone, and the dragon rose.
Like a dragon like we fought in the Chantry.
Or like a big scaled one, because, actually the two of them, I prefer the fire-breathing scaled one.
No, more of I don't know how to put it any better than just the dragon rose. All capital letters.
How much of this is symbolism and how much of this do you think is very specific?
It felt specific, but that isn't helpful to determining sometimes. If I was going to say the rivers ran red with blood,
Right.
or the streets, were engulfed in rivers of blood, that might be metaphorical, there's going to be carnage, or it might be there is so much blood that people are drowning in the streets.
Anyways,
I don't know.
what do you think this is talking about?
It's, to me, it said we all go down there to fight against the Sabbat, but what the thing that's underneath the city, because when I was projecting around down there, I felt it. I felt its presence way deep under the city, pulling and calling. It wakes up.
What thing?
The thing under New York.
The eldest.
Yeah. The thing of which the
When you say dragon, you mean the eldest, don't you?
I don't know, Johnny, but it feels that way. If I was going to try and connect some puzzle pieces.
Don't tell me about what you know. Tell me what you feel.
What I feel is that the eldest is down there, and that if we all go, or rather when we all go, it might not really depend on when we go or if we go down there, the Camarilla goes down there on this crusade that Jan Peterson is setting up to, counter-strike the Sabbat, and we go down there to fight alongside him with the Brujah and Pendragon's army and Pendragon himself maybe, and then the eldest wakes up and everyone's got much bigger problems. I'm not saying that I saw any of us die, but I'm also not saying that.
Great.
We should take this seriously, in other words.
If we go down there, or if we don't, I'm just saying I saw us down there and the dragon rises.
I really don't think I want to go with... I don't think we should go with Jan Peterson's plan.
The one where we stay here?
It feels like, why would we even do it? Why would we put ourselves on the chopping block like that so that he can move Camarian pieces around?
Because this is our home,
And it will get slaughtered.
but it will still be ours.
I have thoughts. I've been thinking about a few ideas. While it might be my sire's plan, ultimately it is ours to enact. It is ultimately our domain that we are defending, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a slaughter. But that involves us gathering information and being able to give out very specific information. I don't have an exact idea yet, but if we can get them to come through and hit a place they think is weak, that we somehow miss, they will try to hammer it. And if we can utilize that, we can utilize it like a trap.
Like luring them all into one location.
I'm curious if that's actually true to the Sabbat. Johnny, you know the Sabbat more than any of us, but when they struck the Gala, they were specifically striking a place of strength where all of Longbow was.
I think, generally speaking, the packs are going to move independently. And from what it sounds like, this crusade is hard to pin down until the moment they strike at a vital spot, at which point they all converge and hit at the same time with overwhelming force.
Because they didn't kick the front door down, did they?
They came in by sea and then...
Right, but they didn't announce themselves with fireworks and a huge parlay of ships, or did they?
They killed the sentries first, but then they specifically ran in and were all chanting, "Kill the elders."
It's more than that. They specifically made sure to get rid of exits and entrances, so they're getting rid of the cars first. They were cutting off any kind of boat travel first, and they were encircling. And they were sneaking in to encircle and box everyone into a killing box, which basically is the plan for New Haven. The plan for New Haven sounds like putting us all as the distraction so that Jan Peterzoon can go over to New York City and claim it while we all die.
This is a huge city. Boxing us in is way harder than you would think.
Impossible. They don't have the numbers to box a city in. They have the numbers to try and put a cordon on a city.
Neil.
But they can box in a facility. They could box in an Elysium. If they could catch the entirety of New Haven in Elysium, that's something they could do.
They nearly boxed us in at Elysium when they dropped off that werewolf there.
Exactly. But they can't do that to the entirety of New Haven. They could cordon off New Haven, but they don't have the numbers to box it in like they did at the Elysium.
Neil, what numbers do they have?
I mean... I don't know the specific numbers of each member of the pack, but there were about a dozen packs. So, I don't know, Johnny, what's the average pack size? 5?
10.
5 to 10?
I would say closer to 10.
10. Okay, so that's like 120.
There's gonna be
150 kindred.
My rough idea is probably 200 to 250 vampires.
It's less now, thankfully, because of the...
They will make more.
Abandonment of the...
We're looking probably at 200, 250 vampires.
That's a wild overstatement, I would imagine.
Sure, but I'm going to plan for that a lot.
Who do we have that we can call on?
We have about 20 ready to fight, minus anybody else we might be able to start garnering from if we can convince Amaya and some of her people, wherever Weathers is sitting nowadays.
Also, let's consider the fact that if we have 200 Sabbat coming up from New York, each one of those packs could easily bring another 5 to 10 shovelheads or schlachta or any other kind of horrible chaff soldiers that they can bring to bear. So if it's 50 packs, you could easily imagine there being another 500 that they could just throw into the meat grinder.
Not to give Pendragon any credit, but the times that we've been effective against the killing spree, it's when we've sort of done some hit and run stuff. Of the 20 or so miles, how many are like a strong coterie like us, like a group working together to who we could identify,
give missions to?
Yeah, hey, go take this pack out.
There are no other coteries in the city.
Yeah, you guys are actually probably the baddest dudes in town.
But
no question.
That is what we're hoping to fix to some degree. We have weapons, we have some time, we can start training some of these people. Me and Britta have started working with the Toreador.
Of those 20, if someone was to come along and be like, hey, come up to Boston, it's safer, how many would bail immediately?
I don't know, because Boston is known not to be safer.
But if it's behind where we are on a front,
They don't have to stop at Boston.
It's hard to travel, but a madman running a city that will kill people willy-nilly is still not terribly safer.
I mean, if they go too far north, also they're gonna hit all of the Dark Selena stuff.
Do they know that?
No, I don't think anyone knows that.
Currently, we need to build their confidence and morale. And that means having wins against them.
I'm not cloning myself.
So here,
Hundreds of wins. Full
You
of claws.
You don't want that.
here's
I
kind
would
of
be
what I'm
willing
thinking.
to live with it.
Wynn gives him like, okay. Okay.
A couple of points I think we should keep in mind. I think if we sit on our heels and allow them to invade the city, we're going to lose. What they're gonna hopefully try to do is find us gathered together and hit that with overwhelming force. I don't think even if they bring twice what I imagined in shovelheads and goons, they can't possibly have enough numbers to completely pin down the city and escape and stop people from escaping.
My
But
understanding.
I think that many vampires, it'll only take them a couple of nights to hunt down and kill those in the city who are holding out. It'll be a lot of small little skirmishes and battles, and by the end of less than a week, New Haven will be theirs.
My understanding is that they let all of those shovelheads and lesser packs run rampant to force the vampires to gather together, to go towards their elders. And that's when their specialty packs, their special forces, or whatever they're called. Do I remember that?
You fucking know what they're called, yeah.
The Black Hand will go after the
Harder targets. Yeah, the Black Hand will be sent in to go after the hardest targets in the city. Johnny kind of gives you a look up and down.
Yeah, they will be coming after me and
Us.
but
Prince.
me.
That leaves us sort of two options in my head. If we're not going to leave the city, which he looks over at Britta and then kind of looks back. If we're not going to leave, which, there are people that live in this city, right? I've seen what they do in a Sabbat city. But so two options. If we know they're going to be coming for you, Miles, either we hide you somewhere. They're going to find you. If I can find you, then anybody can find you, right? There's no but.
Continue.
But we move you around constantly and keep doing little hit and runs, or we have a lot of time to set up and fortify the haven, and then we just stand in a place of strength. Eventually. I still think we should do hit and runs, but once we know we escalate.
I think we're overlooking something we have that I'm pretty sure the Sabbat does not, and that is influence over mortal society. We can make it harder for them to get to us. Don't ask me how human people work in their influences and their...
Wynn nailed it on the head, actually. I think there is another option we should consider. Because we can potentially influence mortal society, we can make it very difficult for them to come up the Metro North 95 corridor. Because truthfully, I doubt they're taking ferries from Long Island into Connecticut. I think most of those packs are going to be crossing on foot up 95. There are limited ways that you can actually travel that path between New York and New Haven. We have them at a little bit of a bottleneck. And
how many ports are there for them to come into along the Connecticut coast?
Limited.
That's a great question. Like, part of the reason, Johnny, that we always have you travel is the byways so that you don't accidentally step in the wrong place and get ripped apart by lupines or something. How do the Sabbat
Numbers
get around that?
It is
Fear.
one of the problems of the Sabbat is they do have to stick to major routes, and they do usually have small groups of retainers that can help travel them around in box trucks, things like that. Now my point is, like Wynn was saying, if we can get mortal authorities to help us tighten those travel routes, make it difficult for them to come up, what we can do is actually leave New Haven and start spearheading down towards where they're coming from. It will simultaneously keep you on the move, meaning that the prince is not in one location that they can go after, and we just start taking out packs one at a time.
King of the Hill style?
Because one Camarine group versus one Sabbat pack, that's a fight we can win. The second we put ourselves on our heels and we start trying to defend hard targets and locations, they're going to overwhelm us.
I think we also need to start looking into specific Sabbat tactics. Like, at the donkeys, Johnny. Like, there was not a whole lot I could do about those shadow plays.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do about those shadow plays.
Okay, so...
Maybe we need to tag
So we need to figure out how to preempt them.
Well, the big thing seems to be distance.
Yeah, they didn't seem to move too much.
I don't really understand exactly what the range is, but if we can put an emphasis on guns and range and... Well, I mean, I was trying to learn... Miles, I was actually hoping you could pick me up a bow.
I mean, easy enough.
Silent ways so that we could sneak like they can.
There's probably a way to replicate this in a more meaningful and modern way, but there was such a thing as a repeating crossbow in the medieval ages.
I was thinking maybe a composite bow.
That'll fly further, but you'll have more shots with a composite, so if we get a few of those...
She's so fast that...
She is so fast. Not everyone is as fast as her.
True, but I'm not picking up a bow.
You should have one just in case, man.
Staking is difficult, but guns are easy to teach.
Yeah, but holding someone to the floor is
there's
effective.
There's thoughts there. I mean, hunting them is effective. If they do not come in with all of the confidence they have normally, they will not be as effective.
So
if they fear this city to some degree...
Here's my thought. If we can assemble 5 groups, just 5, those can be 5 strike teams that can be trying to rapidly hit these smaller groups of Sabbat on their way to New Haven. If we can leave it so it's just down to the Black Hand packs, that's a protracted fight that we might be able to survive for some time while Pendragon and Peterzoon do what they need to do in New York. Because the only reason the Black Hand will be able to locate anybody in New Haven is because we won't have the means to transport around with those smaller packs running rampant.
We also have the Children of Hakim, who have said they are good at intelligence and crafting, and maybe they can give us some more edges against these folks.
Artists and researchers, but they can at least look.
There's a place for that here.
I really don't think that you're going to get Pendragon up to New York City.
Well, we have to try.
We don't, actually.
No?
I mean, if we were to ask him to bring his army anywhere, why wouldn't we try to get him to bring his army here?
Because this is not the big fight that matters.
It is to us.
We don't matter.
There is a victory condition for us. The victory condition is breaking the leadership of this crusade, because the Sabbat will fall apart without that leadership.
And if the thing under New York rises, it doesn't matter if we keep our home. It will be destroyed in the coming nights after that anyway.
Well, I see what Britta's saying. But
I get it.
But that to Johnny's point, I don't think we can. If I'm understanding the consensus at the table here, we can't survive a protracted crusade for indefinitely. The Sabbat in the past were always just a few scattered weirdo packs, and they were a problem, but they could be stamped out. It's the crusade that is threatening everyone. And to stop the crusade, it's the Vicos, right? And it's the Cardinal.
Polonia.
Yeah. So that would be who Pendragon and his army went after.
They would be serving as the chaff for Jan Peterzoon to make the strike that the Black Hand intends on New Haven.
Polonia's going...
It's the same tactic, we'd just be using it against them.
To be in... Polonia's going to be in New York. That much we basically know. He was waiting, he was conducting everything from there, that's where... So in order to get Polonia, that's in New York. Otherwise, I mean, if they just keep mass embracing, New York is huge, and at some point, even if the Eldest rises or the Dragon rises or doesn't, they're just going to keep sending guys after us? Does that make sense? I don't know.
They will still need to deal with mortals at a certain point too. There's a point where they'll start using much larger bombs if it becomes that much of an issue. So they can only go so far.
Sure, but New York is so much bigger than New Haven.
I understand. But taking out their leadership would probably stymie them.
Do you know how many packs of Black Hand are on the way up here?
I don't. I know your sire is here, right? Or coming here or whatever.
He's likely here.
Delgado's already in town.
Yeah, he was. That actually was going to bring me back to So we need a moral win, right? And we need to deal with the people. If we're going to be sending people out to try and stop the Sabbat packs from getting here already, there is still a Sabbat pack that's here. Right? Like, some of the members of the Killing Spree went down to New York, Carmen and Delgado, but if Delgado is back here, that means Carmen is probably back here too. That means all the Killing Spree is here. They need to go before any of this happens, right?
I think it would also hurt them. It seems like Delgado's in charge.
I think you're right. That would be a moral victory for us.
Terrified,
that being said,
but
We also owe them.
it would be a moral victory for them if they took us out.
well, if they took us out, then they already won, right? Like,
Pretty
that's
much.
it. So
It's more than a moral victory. That's a practical victory.
yeah. So
So I do have a message out, hoping to hear back on it. We could be getting some reinforcements.
it'd be nice. But speaking of which, Brujah, right? Or is that?
What?
Isn't there a rave coming? Isn't that what
Oh, yeah.
the rave was about?
The rave should be happening tomorrow night.
We need Johnny. You're bringing Miles? Is that?
I have no idea who I was bringing. Miles, you want to be my date?
Not when you put it like that, but I would go with you, yes.
Oh, shucks. Looks like I'm already taken.
Still feels
Neil
weird.
looks a little crestfallen. Like, shit. There goes the easy answer.
Britta goes conspicuously quiet and just is kind of fiddling with her nail polish.
I had another idea. I guess for Johnny. Is it okay to ask a Brujah to bring you, or do they have to come seek you out? And is that I don't know what the etiquette is on
Do
this.
you feel brave enough to ask a Brujah to take you there?
Well, we're all going, right? So I guess I'm gonna have to.
Well, then I guess you have your answer.
I don't really. I wanted to skip this one.
Too bad. You're coming.
No, I don't
Britta.
think it's a good idea.
What do
I
you,
think it's a good
Why don't
idea
you
What
think
is-
it's a
that
good
the
idea?
coterie is working together.
What
don't
is
you
it
think it's
you
a
are
good idea?
worried about?
Can you guys stop talking in unison?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
God damn it. Sorry.
I don't think it's a good idea for me to go, and I don't think I'd be helpful there. So I just want to stay with Eden and make sure that everything's locked down at home.
Britta, I'm going to try and be as gentle as I can when I say this, which I realize is probably not going to be gentle at all.
Wynn kind of rolls up her sleeve in anticipation of his gentleness.
You got the piss and the spine knocked out of you when we fought that dragon. And you need to find that rapidly again. Because you are not useless. You're very fucking useful. You are an integral member of this coterie, and we need you at our side when we're conducting this rave. So I need you to reach deep down inside you, find the spine that I know you fucking have, and start acting like the Britta that I remember.
I think I would make it worse. I've already made things worse.
Why do you think you would make it
You
worse?
heard the
Britta?
phone call?
What phone call?
Don't worry about it.
Well, no, it seems relevant to the
It's-
conversation right now.
This is not an Officer of Elysium office talk.
What?
We're not talking about this in Elysium as
I'm not
officers
asking
of the
about
court.
Elysium stuff. I'm just saying as
It's
amongst
personal.
the
It's
coterie.
personal. We're going to talk about it at home if Britta wants to talk
Well,
about it.
But nobody's listening right now. And apparently Eden's at home.
Double check.
Neil looks around.
You don't see anything. For now.
It's just us.
And that, she says, pointing to the painting.
Well, the painting's not listening. This isn't Ghostbusters 2.
Okay, it's not just that I really didn't get that apology out right. It's that I don't think I would be helpful as an influence there, but it's also that every single time that we interact with the Brujah as a whole, and I mean as a whole because of course there's Johnny and there's Amaya and there's Weathers and there's Jane, there's plenty of good Brujah that we've met, but a lot of the Brujah that we've met have been Shaw's guys or guys under Longbow, and the same guys that Shaw wanted to make me a friend for. And the same guys who are running away when there's a werewolf or just...
Britta, you're not a liability.
Johnny, what's the weapons policy at a rave?
Oh, plenty of them.
Okay. Would it be socially acceptable for Britta to bring a handgun and shoot somebody who gets fresh?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I hope you shoot somebody if they get fresh with you.
I don't know.
Last
if I'm
time someone
joking
got
or
fresh
not,
with me, I
actually.
tossed them off the roof.
I said that almost as a joke, but the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, actually, I think I might actually... You threw somebody off a roof?
Oh, yeah.
Is
He got
this-
lippy with me.
So that's just like Brujah stuff. So like if somebody gets...
It's just
I should
Brujah stuff.
like throw a punch.
Yeah, throw a punch.
You will injure yourself. Don't you dare throw a punch.
That was a collective.
Or better yet, you look at their
You're going in a baby Bjorn.
Better yet, you look
going
at their
to
brain and you make it tingle and fry, and let them run out of the place, never to be seen again.
So this is like not Elysium rules at all.
Oh no,
In a rave.
This is the fucking Wild West.
Does that make you feel better, Britta?
No, it doesn't make me feel better.
What
because
part of that was going to make her feel better?
Part where she gets to shoot somebody.
I mean, I
Who
feel
gets
better.
fresh. Is that just because you get to bring your sword, Miles?
Yes.
Look, you rattled off a whole bunch of Brujah names of people that are good. And it sounds like Pendragon might have a little crush on you, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. And plenty of those shitbag Brujah, what you said is just that they're willing to switch allegiances at the drop of a hat. So what you need to do is turn on your charm and get them to fucking switch allegiances to you. Understood?
I don't know who would even take me.
All
Okay?
of them.
No, what?
I mean,
Smile at them.
other than Pendragon, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah,
Honestly?
maybe don't ask Pendragon.
Britta, we can talk about it later if you want. You will be safe if you go. As safe as we can make you.
I'm feeling left out by girl talk here. Like I hate not knowing the context.
That's kind of the point.
That it's up to her to talk
It's
to
like a
talk about.
pathological problem.
I'm not airing anyone's laundry except my own.
That's fair. Miles, do you disagree that it's fair?
I am not currently airing anyone's dirty laundry but my own.
Okay.
No, I don't think that they're gonna want to go with me because I was just at a gala really publicly with Pendragon, so they might not want to press that button, and then I don't.
Well, why don't you ask Pendragon to take you to this one?
No,
Why don't I ask Pendragon to take me to this one so he can see you again, and you go with Weathers?
I don't think that's gonna work out really well.
Well, you don't know until you
Also,
try.
Our Brujah, I don't know, Johnny, I don't want to stereotype here your clan, but like, I feel like any Brujah worth his salt would see that like some guy like Pendragon like put his little fucking stamp on you and then was like, that's a challenge. I'm going to ask her to go.
Britta gives Neil a look.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
Yeah, right? So isn't that, what'd I say? He's like looking back at Britta.
Miles is also looking at you after a little stamp.
What'd I say?
It's the way you said it.
Wynn
Again.
pulls a joint out of her pocket.
Wait, I said what?
Just,
Guys, can we let Britta choose how she comes to this with the understanding?
Well, no, because she said she's choosing not to come.
So I said we let her choose the terms under which she comes.
Okay. Britta, how do you want to come?
I like mouth stuff.
How?
But
Ew, Wynn!
Britta is looking at Wynn and Neil in the way that a little sister looks at, like, parents or uncles or aunts when they're talking about sex at Thanksgiving. But she tries to pull herself back together, and honestly, it's not that hard because she is hyper-focusing on the issue at hand. Like, the distraction that the two of them pose is not bigger than the stress of what is happening. She tries to pull a sentence together. What comes out first is, Wynn, I think you should probably go with Weathers. I mean, he's usually really nice to you.
Britta,
We're gonna need Weathers to get people on our side, and you're good at that.
Weathers will be there because he's Brujah. He will take someone he feels like he wants to take.
To be fair, when you could ask him to take you, because you need a date to this thing as much as anybody.
Need is a strong word, but yeah.
We have to go.
I know, I need a +1, but I
you
need to be
need
a
to-
+1.
yeah.
Here's the thing, Britta. We need you there. Because, and this bears repeating, we need you and we want you with us. Whatever happened to you during that dragon fight, you're still you. And you still have it in you to be tough.
I'm sorry, I know I'm scared of everything, and I know I keep on...
Britta,
I've been feeling this way a long time before the dragon stuff even happened, and it just made it worse.
Britta, you are also brave. Bravery is being afraid and doing what needs to be done anyway. And I am not going to force you to ask Pendragon to take you anywhere. He'll likely be there because it's a Brujah bullshit thing. But I will... Whatever it takes to get you there, I will do.
I have an idea. I want y'all to hear me out. Miles. Mm-hmm. I think you should ask Amaya to take you there. I think it would go a long way going to the Baron and asking her permission to take you along. I think that would do a good job of ingratiating some of the anarchs to your domain. Wynn, I think you should ask Weathers to take you, because you are the new sheriff, and having the old sheriff bring you along would also look good for you coming along. Neil, I think you should ask Jane to take you. She actually thinks you're not that bad of a guy, so...
Okay, sure. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
What a
it's a
ringing
yes.
endorsement.
that's fine.
Britta, I'll have you be my +1. Would you please come to the rave with me?
Britta kind of like blinks away the tears that were threatening to come in and tries to straighten up and looks at Johnny and manages a couple nods.
I'm probably going to need you to do my makeup.
Yeah, Johnny, I'll come with you, and when I can do that. How do people dress for this, Johnny?
Well, it's actually going to be at the golf club Haven.
Oh.
I think you and I met there once upon a time.
Yeah.
So, dress appropriate, maybe a little bit less dirt than the last time we were there. He kind of gives you a half smile, hoping his joke lands.
Britta tries to smile for the dad joke. She's halfway successful.
How dare you try to intrude on my vibe, Johnny?
What vibe is that?
Dirt. It's my aesthetic, as the kids call it.
I apologize. I will step away from your domain.
That's all I ask, man.
I'm not going to be able to get it done before tomorrow night, but I think, having had a couple of talks with the children of Hakeem, and I think I have an avenue towards the side effects, Miles and Britta, for the dragon.
That'd be wonderful.
I can't. It's going to take a little time, and we need another bowl, but I think I can. I don't know. We'll try it. I'm sorry I can't do it before tomorrow.
We'll make do.
It would be nice to feel better again.
We'll try.
It's not my show, so I'm not terribly worried about it.
Also, Johnny, thank you for saying Jane. I don't know why, but in my heart, I really thought you were just going to say Neil, good luck. I don't know. But that's a nice endorsement, man. Thank you. I didn't think. Yeah, I'll talk to. I don't have Jane's number. Could you give me Jane's number and then we?
I got you, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Neil.
Right. Yeah.
We want you too.
No. It wasn't about me being there. I don't know.
You were deliberately talking smack about yourself. Don't be mean to my friends.
Dates are not really my thing, even if it's like a formal.
I know nothing about what that might be like.
I heard you got invited to a
clearly
ball
don't.
recently.
One last thing that everyone needs to keep in mind. I know the rave is a scary proposition, and after the rave we have to deal with the Sabbat. But getting back to the Dragon Rising, there's still a piece of that thing in the city.
Hell House.
We need to purge that from this city. And when we do, I want to let my daughter take a nice hard look at it.
What? Johnny, that feels insane.
No. I trust her. And she's told me that she's been selected to see visions for humanity.
That jives with some things Ramirez said.
Neil's face just falls into despair for this girl.
And I think that she can see its weakness.
Does she have to be there when it's alive? The house is alive?
I don't know. But I imagine if she sees it, she can see its weakness, because I'm not sure we can actually kill it.
Could we? I don't particularly disagree with this, but Hell House is jumping into the deep end with no swimmies on.
She's pretty much been in the deep end already.
But we don't have to kick her in there.
No, we won't.
What if we, instead of starting at Hell House, what if we send her to my old haven where the mushrooms are taking over?
What if
and
we
she
bring...
can get a glimpse of what maybe a defense would be when they go to Hell House.
Wynn, what if we bring her to the other places like that so she can kind of see like a pattern? Like we show her Wynn's old haven, and maybe we even bring her to where the chantry was, and then we bring her.
I like this idea.
Yeah.
But her and the rest of her group are going to go wherever they go. In full transparency, they're the ones that were asking after Fester. I guess Ramirez is pretty good friends with him.
Oh, Oh, it's Ramirez?
Yeah.
Okay, that actually does make me feel a little
Neil,
better.
look around again.
Neil looks around again.
You're all alone for now.
It's getting ominous.
He shrugs at Wynn.
We are getting into some heavy stuff. And with some of the folks that are here in the city, I'm not leaving anything to doubt anymore.
So it sounds like we have to prepare to keep her safe and to face Hell House again.
Do they want us to keep them safe, or do they just want us?
I don't care what they want. I'm gonna keep them safe.
I do
Unfortunately,
understand that.
Does Suarez still... Oh, sorry, you said unfortunately.
I said, unfortunately, we are now the best crew to deal with this kind of thing.
Does Suarez still hate Miles?
I don't know about Miles, but he barely tolerates me.
Okay.
I'm used to being hated. It's fine.
Miles, just to be very clear, I don't hate you.
Well, that's good to know.
Okay, just I don't hate anyone here.
All right.
I think at this rave, we need to be focused on gathering all potential allies close to us. It's not going to be easy because it's going to be a Brujah Rave.
Johnny, a rave is like
It's a party.
dancing and music and a party.
Yeah.
If
Sometimes things get rowdy, though.
I am gonna go with you and try to help, I'm kind of thinking the most helpful thing I could do is party.
I agree.
Just try to dance with as many people and do the Elsa Linden thing of making the space vibrant and making people want to be around us, connected to us, liked by us.
Johnny has a big, wide smile on his face. Now you're getting it, kid.
I think she'd be really proud to have you carrying her torch, Britta.
Britta tries again to smile. It's not as successful as
I
Johnny's
can-
dad jokes,
I
but
can sure as hell tell you that there's no chance in hell that I'm going to be able to do that.
well, you're gonna have to dance with me if you're making me go to this.
I can do that.
Okay.
I'm just saying that I'm going to bring the whole mood down.
Dancing's not mandatory, is it?
It is, in fact. Johnny told me earlier.
It's a,
I've also
it's a
heard
goth
this thing.
club, though.
Yeah.
It's barely dancing.
Again, if I have to do this, you guys are dancing with me.
That's not really a hard sell for me, honey.
Just pretend you're grabbing bats and beat with a song.
Neil is very clearly doing, like, math in his head now.
But my point being is that after this rave, we're going to have to try and deal with Hell House, and we're going to have to try and, if you're all on board with it, we're trying to figure out how to make a counteroffensive play against the Sabbat coming towards New Haven. The only way we're going to do that is we gain some more allies.
I was actually just thinking that same thing, Johnny.
We are the only effective coterie in the city, but if we convince some of the Brujah, we could probably pull together at least one more from the Brujah. If we maybe play nice with Vitel and some of the other princes that came up from down south, we might be able to pull out one or two more coteries from there.
Oh, I don't think we play nice with them. I think we say that you're gonna stand and fight, or we're gonna kill you ourselves.
Hey, however you want to play it. I'm just saying.
I feel like that'll make them run.
Aren't these
Where are they gonna go to?
princes really powerful?
We
Yeah.
shut down all the byways in and out.
Let's
The-
hold off on
But
trying to pin the arms behind the princes for now. We need
Yeah.
them to be on a knife's edge of between thinking they can take over and not having any other place to go.
I'm just counting some numbers here, right? Potentially, we can make the Anarchs. Amaya might be able to pull together a coterie capable of doing something. The Setites, if you decide to actually do what you've promised with the Snake Girl there, we might be able to squeak a passable coterie out of them to do some strikes.
If you're going to do that, let's do that after we fix you.
That's potentially 5 coteries
good.
in addition to us right there.
I sent a message to Xavier. I'm hoping that since he knows there are people who know what's in New York, and that's the reason he left, because the Camarilla was refusing to acknowledge or deal with it.
If those 5 coteries have support from both the Assamites in the city and perhaps the Tremere, and let's say each one of those coteries is able to put down one of the lesser packs every night,
Well,
that's...
I'm also not betting a whole lot of wager on it, but the Giovanni are in the city.
Outside the Giovanni specifically, when you're a medium and you deal with the dead, I know they're hiding from the storm, but how unorthodox do we want to get here? Asking for help.
I want them to look both ways to check for traffic and get hit by a submarine. That's how unorthodox I want them to be.
I don't think we actually have
any Tremere that can help?
None.
We have one.
I don't know. I mean, I know that a lot didn't survive, and I don't really know of any of the Tremere that did survive. It's not like I would recognize them anyway, but Reese, and then I guess we have, not that that's really a help when we can't unstake him, but...
Question for Lex. The Tremere have been a lot less around here since the Chantry? Or...
You have not seen the Tremere since.
Okay. I figured they have...
There's a very good chance that the Talmahira annihilated them here.
That's not including Reese, though, right?
That is not including Reese, who you also have not seen. Here.
He's got a new lordship somewhere. Lord of New Hampshire.
Yeah, he got a promotion.
All right, well...
Don't go to his bed and breakfast.
Excluding the Tremere, let's assume we can pull together 5 strike teams excluding ourselves. So that's 6 teams. If those 6... If we can narrow the cordon coming from New York to New Haven, and we can hit them as they're on their way up here, and we do that for 3 nights in a row, and we all managed to take out a single pack each night. That's 18 packs.
It's more than this coming.
It's a possibility.
That's...
It was about a dozen, but I think it was like I think it was 13, but it was around a dozen packs.
A dozen packs?
Yeah.
All right, so...
That doesn't include the Black Hand. That's just...
Well, hell, let's even pull it back. If we're able to do that a single night, take out 6 packs, that's half of them. I imagine that a strike like that would probably even break the morale of the rest of them. Maybe we can even get a couple of them to just say, fuck it, and abandon the siege of New Haven. Leaving us with, let's say, 5 packs. That's almost even odds, excluding the Black Hand.
But that's only if they lose. We've been successful in surviving the Sabbat, but, I mean, not to be narcissistic, but I don't know if that's fair to hope or expect that others would.
I guarantee you this plan's gonna fall apart the first night. I'm just saying, there is a way in which we can stem the tide by being on the offensive.
I agree with that. I don't necessarily know if that plan will work because Operation Security will be difficult with that many people. But we can, especially between Wynn and Johnny, start training these people up. Put them in situations where they start getting sharp, like we did. We kept getting in fights.
If we can figure out what each... assuming we can make these coteries, right? Or assuming we can help to get this together. If we can figure out what the strengths and weaknesses of the strike teams are. Johnny, I don't know if you would recognize pack names. They seem to come and go so much, but I have the list if you want to try and match target to target.
I can take a look, but that's going to be some logistic work that we're going to have to do in these coming nights.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
We need to get more fighting people. That is the first step.
If we can just get 5 groups together from all the allies in the city. Hell, let's get 4 plus us. That makes 5. 5 strike teams on the offensive. We can at least blunt the nose of this Sabbat invasion before they get here. If we can do that, I think we have a fighting chance of surviving in New Haven.
Okay, Britta's turn.
Well, thank you. I was just wondering if Neil could figure out how to do the blood jar thing.
What blood jar thing?
Like there were in the Chantry?
Like the Setites did. The Tremere had a method. My people had a method too. There must be some universal way or magic or something.
If I was going to learn something like that, it would come from the children of Hakim. I've been doing my best to learn stuff on my own, but that's a question that could be posed to maybe some of the viziers that have arrived.
That would be a huge source of support if they're willing to start doing that for us, Britta.
Well, specifically, if we want to have strike teams, right? And we need these strike teams to be full up every time they're fighting.
Without tearing into civilians.
Yes, and they need to be able to do it quickly, and they need to be able to do it readily.
I can do it for myself, but it's my blood, so I wouldn't give that to anyone else.
Question. Do we have a census of how many ghouls are in the city?
No. We have a general idea, but they're not required to be.
Because that would be a huge resource if they can act during the day.
That'd be part of putting the cordon on the route coming up from New York to New Haven, for sure.
We have there is some security forces that we can hire to some degree, but...
If we can only fight these guys at night, we need to figure out a way to fight them during the daytime, too.
Finding them might be also a problem. They are aware of their biggest weakness.
When you've mentioned that you could, sleep in the ground,
Yep.
Can we maybe map out, like, big parks? Or I don't really know, like big... I don't know how Gangrel would travel like that, but if there's, like, big places where they could all do that on the way here?
We can try and find suitable places that would be a good spot for them if we know they're coming.
Also, I know a lot of times the Sabbat Gangrel have lost that power of blood.
Gotcha.
They traded it in favor of things more brutal.
They are invisible chainsaws. They are more glass cannons than
I can look.
Camarilla Gangrel.
Makes sense.
One last point that I do want to warn you all about. A Brujah Rave is technically an event that goes beyond sect.
Well, yeah, because the Anarchs are going to be there, right?
I don't know if he's got the cojones to show up, but there is a chance Delgado might come.
And I'm assuming it's a no-go on a... Like, if he's there, he's under the rules of the rave, or what's the...
Well, it's not Elysium, so... Generally speaking, he's allowed to be there.
Shouldn't that mean we should expect that they're going to try to get us at some point?
Well, no, I'm pointing out that he might show up. I don't think that he would necessarily break Brujah custom to jump it with the rest of his pack. And to be perfectly honest, I think if they did, they would probably not be leaving.
But he might show up.
But he might show up regardless.
With a +1.
With a +1. And I just want to warn you that might be something that happens. I don't know how that would play out for anyone.
How does that work? I mean, the Camarilla basically doesn't even tolerate mentioning the spot. Would we be supposed to talk to them?
What happens at a rave stays at a rave.
Okay.
This is a gray area that I'm not entirely sure of how to navigate.
I would talk to Weathers about that.
That sounds like a good idea.
If he shows up, I don't think he'd be jumping to violence immediately, so I'd recommend that none of you jump to violence either.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be there
Not a problem.
recruit.
He might be looking for people to actually jump ship. It's very true.
So then it's just a contest of wills.
It's a social gathering.
Of speeches of... Yeah, that's what I said.
The rave will be a good time to take a temperature on what everyone's going to do in these coming nights.
So that's tomorrow then, huh?
Yeah.
I guess we have some phone calls to make, except for Johnny and Britta.
Hey, Miles, can you get me a pair of these? And she pulls out, like, a thing she pulled out of a catalog, just like a torn page. And it's just a picture of, like, brown boots with... They go a little further up her leg than the Doc Martens did, but they also have, like, spiked gold caps on the tips of the toes.
When do you want this to be the time I dress you, or do you...
That's up to you.
Speaking of which, I actually have to go off and get myself a new jacket, because mine's no longer in commission.
Oh, yeah, me too.
He's holding his blazer still.
Where's your jacket? You talking about the one that Johnny gave you?
I mean, it's fine.
No, it's clearly not fine. You don't have to tell me about how much stuff can mean. Where'd it go? Where is it?
Any of the gear that I had when we took out the abbot is pretty much gone, so...
What happened to it? Was it destroyed?
Some of it, and then others of it, it's just gonna be at Prince Pendragon's manor, so...
Say no more. You're my date to this event. I'll make sure you're dressed appropriately, so you don't worry about your jacket. I'll have one for you when we get there.
Thank you.
In a perfect world, would you want it back?
I don't... It just... Honestly, it just reminded me of you guys accepting me, so it's...
So yes. So the answer is yes.
Neil,
Noted.
if you creep up to Hartford
I'm not
and you
an
get
idiot.
that jacket
I'm not
and
an
you
idiot.
leave us again,
I'm not going anywhere.
Please don't go.
I'm not going anywhere. I was
we
just
will go
asking
for a
questions
field
about
trip
jacket.
if we want to.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not breaking someone's domain. That would be crazy.
Yes,
I'm
clearly outside of the boundaries of what you're willing to do.
Yeah, exactly. I was just asking questions about a jacket. That's all. I gotta think.
I am
about-
not kidding about the baby, Bjorn.
I'm a grown man. And
I don't
I'm
give a
taller
shit.
than you. My legs would just drag on the floor.
I would
and-
hold them. I would swing them at people. I would hit a dude with another dude.
It is the next night. Surrounding the goth club haven is a sea of poorly parked cars everywhere. Outside, audible for blocks, is the thrum of music. At the entrances are clouds of smoke as Brujah gather to smoke cigarettes and bitch about things that they hate. Miles, you and Amaya arrive first out of the coterie. What are you wearing?
I am wearing a long, dark blue trench coat over a black button-up shirt with black pants and knee-high black boots. Carrying my katana, and I have spiked my hair for this occasion.
Is the trench coat leather or some other fabric?
Leather.
Amaya joins you, wearing baggy jeans, huge boots, and a hot pink thong that rides up on the side of her hips, a midriff shirt, and a jacket with like a fur collar that comes up around her shoulders, and cut sleeves so that you can kind of see the definition of her arms. She walks with you, and a super fucking tall Brujah dude that's like 6'8", bald, with a neck wider than his head, raises his hand, and she hops up and easily gives the dude a high five. One is not offered to you.
That's fair.
The boys call her Amaya, and they're all thrilled to see her, and she waves to them like she's the superstar who runs this town. Noticing that they don't greet you the same way, she puts an arm around your waist and pulls you inside along with her.
I'll play along with this. That sounds fun.
Oh, how terrible.
Oh,
no.
Play along with it.
I'm the boy toy.
That's correct, people.
Inside, you could see a DJ who's wearing a helmet that has flashlights so bright they're like fucking high beams. And he bobs his head up and down, mixing crazy fucking tracks. How do you feel about that, music producer?
It's not great.
Is he doing it well?
Amazingly.
It's still not great.
Miles is on record in one of these episodes about his feelings about DJs.
It's not great, but I'm pretty sure I could eat him.
Dude grabs the mic. Fuck the prince! And the crowd goes wild. The vast majority of this is in jest. Like a good chunk at least. But once you're in and you're socializing, someone walks by. They offer a blunt to his grace. Do you accept?
Yeah, I guess.
They light that shit for you. Okay. Zippo gets awfully close. Courage check.
Oh. Spending a willpower.
Your difficulty or grace is 4.
I'm still spending a willpower. 1 success, 2 successes.
You don't flinch. They seem impressed by this.
I'm just living it up. I'm kind of just going with the flow on this. This is not my soiree, so...
Soiree. Oh, I love Miles.
I'm just kind of, just mingling mostly, waiting to see how this starts playing out once everyone arrives.
Amaya is quick. Unlike a fish in water, she finds drinks, passes you a glass of wine, not so that you can drink it, so that you can swirl it around as you bob your head to the music.
Of course. Why would I do anything else? This is definitely different, so.
And you begin to mingle. Some of the questions challenge your authority. Many of the questions are ignorant and irritatingly dumb. But every now and again, you find yourself actually swept up and engaged in some really interesting conversation, ranging from music to war to politics to history. Neil, you arrived with Jane. She drove, she dressed you, and told you that so long as you follow her lead, no one's going to beat you up. If you don't follow her lead, she's going to let you get your ass beat. The choice is yours. She said this joking, but there was like this light punch at your shoulder that still hurts. So you're not sure how to take it. She looks to be in relatively good spirits. She offhandedly mentions to you that she was obligated to show up, but agrees that maybe it's time to reintegrate. She herself is wearing shit-kicking boots, tight jeans that are ripped at the knees and hang dangerously low on her waist. She's wearing a button-down shirt with short sleeves like white with a tie that hangs loosely around her neck from it. She's got a shit ton of these bangles and spikes and all these little like distracting pieces of her outfit. And underneath it all are fishnets. What do you show up to meet her dressed like?
Nice polo shirt.
Neil is trying his best to follow her lead, like, as best as he thinks he can. And knowing that this is, like, he's done so much mental math, like, okay, Jane is really into music, just kind of like Miles is, with band, or whatever, and just goes and goes and goes. So he ends up showing up in those over-ripped black pants that have, you know, like, way too many zippers and pockets and shit.
Trips?
Not the big ones. The like, not the fucking, like, Jenko-sized huge ones. The, like, regular pant size. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Black combat boots that look like maybe one size too big for him. Like, he couldn't find exactly the right size. A long sleeve red t-shirt, but then over that, a black Bauhaus shirt that's been, like, cut. And then over all of that, because he couldn't quite help himself, he doesn't really know what to do, has one of those sort of like diaphanous goth mantle cloaks. On Neil specifically, it kind of gives sorcerer vibes.
She approaches you, messes with your hair a bit, wipes her hand off, and says, "Are you nervous?"
I feel like the socially appropriate response right now is not if I follow your lead.
She rolls her eyes.
Yes, the real answer is absolutely. I'm absolutely wildly nervous that this kind of thing, and especially since
we're gonna do a thing.
Okay.
And she takes out a spiked collar. Put this on.
Where does this go?
Around your neck.
Okay. And he like kind of fiddles with it, but he puts it around his neck.
Okay, let's go.
Is that's it? Just a call? Okay. And he just follows after her.
You're with me.
Can do.
And she will drive you to the club. And she parks alongside a sea of poorly parked cars. And she walks with you. And there's this huge fucking Brujah. This dude's like 6'8", bald, with a neck wider than his head. And he raises his hand and she hops up and gives him a high five. And then she says to him, "He's with me too." And he's like, "The Diablerist?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay."
Neil goes to defend himself, and as soon as she says "yeah," he's like, "Fuck, I'm supposed to follow her lead."
She slips her index finger on the metal loop on your collar and just kind of pulls you along inside.
As soon as we're outside of earshot, but like now we're in a fucking hugely loud club, Neil's gonna be like, "You know I'm not a Diablerist, like that's not..."
Who gives a shit? He knows.
Okay.
It wasn't a real question. It doesn't deserve a real answer.
Fair enough.
Look, there's your prince. Let's go. And she takes you along with her and starts heading to meet with Miles and Amaya. Wynn, an Escalade arrives to meet you. It is gorgeous, black with these gold flecks, and I don't mean gold paint. There's music playing that you can hear, tinted windows. A man comes out. It's Weathers. He looks very handsome, with his beard perfectly trimmed, his hair with perfect waves. He's got his chain on. He's got his jacket on. Even as he approaches you, you notice he smells amazing. You ready to go?
Wynn meets him at the door. She's done her hair sort of in a Viking-style faux hawk. Wynn is wearing basically a black crop top that shows off her sick abs. She has some black, what looked like trousers, but she seems to have punked them up a little bit by ripping the side seams around the waist and putting safety pins on either side and then putting shoelaces through them so it looks almost like corseted at the waist. And did Miles get her the boots yet?
Anything you wanted, you got.
Okay, and then the gold spiked tips of her boots kick out from under the baggy black pants.
So then the makeup that Britta did for Wynn. Wynn's eyes are rimmed with black eyeliner, and it's flicked out almost, not quite in a cat eye, but it's got this wild sense to it because it's so dark, it's so intense, and it smokes out. And your seagull green eyes look absolutely piercing beneath it. And the way that the black wings out, there's a slight dusting of a gold matching in tone to your shoes that kind of like lands on your cheekbones and shows off how high they are. Generally, a lot of your makeup, apart from that, is complementary to your features, kind of neutral, but amped up. It's your eyes that are the biggest focus.
When Weathers steps out of the car, she gives him kind of an appreciative whistle. Yeah, if you're still on board with taking me.
Why wouldn't I be? He
Let's
holds a hand out.
She takes it. Let's just say I've been shown up for more than one party.
I think you're going to have a great time.
Think you are too.
And he will take Wynn. Again, when you arrive, there is a sea of poorly parked cars waiting for you. He gets out, he opens the door for you, tosses his keys to one of the Brujah that used to give him shit, one of Shaw's boys, and he says, "Park this shit." And the guy obeys, and he walks with you, arm around you, like you are, in fact, his date, and leads you to the rave.
Wynn is very comfortable letting this happen. She kind of weaves her arm around his waist behind him. Just, yeah, we're here to have a good time.
When you get to the club itself, there's this big friggin' guy, and he offers Weathers a hug, and Weathers gives the man a hug, past the dude on the back, points to you and says, "This is Wynn, she's with me." And the guy's like, "You got it." No one gives any fuss whatsoever, and the two of you make your way in. Weathers, of course, holds the door open for you.
Wynn gives the guy at the door a quick chest bump and then walks in with Weathers.
It feels like chest bumping a brick wall. There's no give, nothing.
She gives a nod of respect and walks in with Weathers.
But you happen to be stout enough to chest bump a brick wall if you want to, so it works out just fine. Johnny, Britta, how do you do this?
Johnny and Britta's arrival is heralded by the roaring sound of a motorcycle engine. As they pull up, Johnny parks the old vintage Indian motorbike that's been converted out to be a little rat rod. Looks like it's like a hell bike out of a Mad Max movie. It's got like different parts salvaged from different kits, all welded together in this amalgamation that looks like a bike that could survive the apocalypse. Johnny is head to toe in black denim and leathers. His brand new jacket has different sections studded and spiked out. A lapel here, a forearm. On the left lapel, there is a small silver pin of the inverted V for Clan Brujah. And the left sleeve has a small little half cape almost made out of chainmail.
That kind of epaulette.
Yeah, hanging from his shoulder. Underneath, he wears a black snap button cowboy shirt that he has unbuttoned very low, exposing his chest, and a silver conch bolo tie that just hangs on his bare chest, undone almost completely.
Because you did bring up that the shirt is mostly unbuttoned, I think the audience needs to know how hairy is Johnny's chest.
It is definitely hairy enough that somebody could grab a handful and hang on.
Okay. I'm sure that's exactly what they were looking for.
He wears a pair of black ripped Levi jeans and 2 black pointed boots with silver tips and heels with the design of a wolf incorporated into it. On his fingers, he wears these big, gnarly silver and turquoise rings. And of course, he's got a pair of Wayfarers on and a Morley cigarette hanging out of his lip. Once he finds a spot for his bike near the front of the club, he kicks the kickstand down, pulls the bike down, hops off, and helps Britta down off the bike.
Britta gratefully accepts the hand and somehow dismounts this bike completely gracefully. Despite she's got these sky-high stilettos on her vinyl boots. But the hand helps and her own grace helps, and she's mostly got this outfit that's a deep shade of plum purple. For her top, she's wearing basically a lingerie-inspired bodysuit that's got that same plum purple lace emphasizing each and every curve. Spaghetti straps keep that in place. Her skirt is silk and skin tight. She's got a slit at one side so that there will be no constriction on her dancing. She has a full range of movement. And when she moves just right, that means you can glimpse, strapped high on each thigh, there's a small compact handgun. Just an inch or so above those heeled boots, you can see about just the top of some fishnets. And her makeup is synchronous with her outfit. Hers is both smoky and sharp. It's the same colors all through. And she sweeps her hair back into place. It's like the motorcycle only made it better. And takes your arm to go in.
Johnny, Britta, when you arrive, it is to a sea of parked cars. It is a mess everywhere. Cars cannot get around this block right now.
Good thing I got a bike.
Now you take it slow, rumbling loudly. A number of the Brujah are checking out this bike, sometimes with envy, sometimes just admiring the Seneschal's work. Mm-hmm. And as the two of you pull up right by the entrance, this beast of a Brujah, nearly 7 feet tall, greets the two of you. He puts his chin up, greeting Johnny.
Johnny looks up, gives him a nod, a respectful nod in return.
He holds out his fist.
Johnny holds out his.
The dude's fist is like a small cinder block. And bumping your fist against it, it actually feels like a small cinder block. And he gives you a nod and he's like, "Welcome, Johnny. You're the man of the hour. Do your thing."
Johnny kind of gives this guy a half smile. "Thanks, Tiny."
You got it.
And heads on into the club.
As Britta goes by, he kind of like definitely gives like an appraising look to her. But it's mostly like approval, like acknowledging that she looks really nice.
She smiles at the greeting between the two Brujah. After connecting eyes with this guy who seems to be occupying the role of bouncer, something clicks. Or maybe she'd been thinking about it in the back of her mind, but it becomes more real in the moment. She looks back and spots a familiar alleyway, and her eyes land on the ground, and she watches that spot for a few moments, her expression not quite changing. She's too readied. She's wearing the armor of preparation, the armor of looking hot as hell and being ready for fights. But she can't help the way that memory rings back. She steels herself and turns back to you, Johnny.
"You with me, kid?"
"Yeah, I'm with you."
He gives you a devilish smile. "Let's fucking do this." And I will spend a point of willpower for myself and Britta to give us both Ironheart.
Boom.
Enter in.
Path of Night is a Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the world of darkness. Britta Ashcroft the Toreador was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Johnny Saxon the Brujah was played by Garrett Gabbey. Miles Davenport the Venture was played by Tim Davis. Neil Foster the Malkavian was played by Rob Muirhead. Wynn Cabot the Gangrel was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Lex Lopez. Recording by Rebecca Steigelfest. This episode edited by Rob Muirhead. The music used in this episode was composed for Path of Night by Brian Metolious. Find him online at brianmetolious.com. Path of Night uses the 20th anniversary edition of Vampire the Masquerade with a few limited house rules. Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness are owned by Paradox Interactive. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. We can be found on YouTube at youtube.com/@pathofnight. You can help support the show on coffee.com/pathofnight. Find us on twitter.com/pathofnightpod, on facebook.com/pathofnightpodcasts, or email us at pathofnightpodcasts@gmail.com. See you next time, kindred.
Come!
Garrett waited the whole day.
It's It's the Wynn and Johnny show.
But he had faith that if he waited long enough.
I also waited long enough to edit it out, so you guys are welcome.
I appreciate that.
Just abdicate the throne. I'm done.
Johnny,
this city's not worth it.
All right, Johnny, it's all you, buddy.
Cavalry's one thing, but this
This is too much.
Prince Johnny Saxon, let's do this. Everyone cringed and fucking was like, no.
I'm just imagining how many Tremere positions of power he's
All right.
going to put in.
Let's back it up.
Actually,
So we leave off with you asking, how do you want to come?
no.
I think we should actually include when.
Not.
Oh, no, you mouth stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I think we should
Okay.
include that.
So let's
Right.
pause and let Britta respond however mortified she wants to respond.